Welcome back to Factory Sealed. It is February 19th, 2017. My name's Eric Peterson. Joining me today, Mr. Yum Ragan.
Good afternoon, Eric.
Oh, I thought you were going a different direction with that one.
I was gonna go with the gay guys. I started with the good.
Good. Hello.
Could have easily gone another way.
I mean, that one's... We don't want to overdo that one. I think we're known for overdoing things.
Quite.
You can't break out the gay guys too often.
Yeah. Although it has been a while since I've been here.
It has. Have you been on this year yet?
Yeah. Well,
I don't know
it
about
depends.
that.
When did we do Resident Evil? Because that was the last one I was on.
Last year.
No.
Yeah.
Are you serious?
No. We did it January 16th. It's been a month since we've heard your sultry British tones.
You've just had some slightly more northern ones to deal with instead.
Yeah, they're not as sultry.
A little bit more shrill. A bit more Ronnie Pickering-ish.
Yeah, it's like a knife in the back. Not quite a scream, but more of a gasping.
If I ever listen to a show with you and Dan, it's just you guys totally taking the piss out of each other. Just getting on each other's nerves.
I mean, that's what our friendship is based upon, is
Yeah, entirely. That's Dan and Eric right there.
pure annoyance.
Even just moments before we started, he sent you a message saying you suck.
Yeah, that's what it is. Speaking of Dan, he's not here today, thankfully.
That's got to be a record for addressing that at this time.
Well, I think we addressed it last week with you almost immediately. Remember, it's 2017, new leaves and all. I mean,
Yeah.
not quite sure what that means, but there's a pile of leaves and we're turning them over.
What does that mean? Where did that come from, turning over a new leaf?
Yeah, like what's wrong with the old one?
Yeah. And which leaf?
Is it an oak leaf?
From a willow tree?
Is it a maple leaf? Well, ooh. Oak leaves wouldn't come from a willow tree, Tom. They would come from an oak tree.
Look, I'm not down on my leaves, clearly. I'm sorry. I just want to find out the origin of turning over a new leaf.
Well, it's apparently an English idiom. Has an unknown origin, so basically it's just dumb.
There are some dumb idioms out there.
I mean, that's a real dumb idiom.
Don't judge a book by its cover.
Yeah.
I could read you like an open book.
I'm gonna let this cat here out of that bag.
I love me a good idiom.
I like a good idiot too.
What'd you learn in English today, Sammy? We learned about idiots, Daddy. What?
This teacher brought in a whole bunch of cats and stuffed them in a bag. I didn't understand what it was. It just smelled like piss and claws in there all day.
Boy, you sure are learning a lot, Sammy, in that there school of yours.
And then she took a clock and threw it right out the window. Said something about clocks having wings.
She said pigs might fly.
And then she had, I don't know what it was, but she had a kitchen sink in there when she was giving out the homework. I just don't understand it. And then she gave me a sock and told me to put it in my mouth.
Good Lord.
That would be the worst school.
If it just had to be really literal about everything.
Yeah. Somebody just doesn't understand idioms. I mean, I've dealt with people that take things really literally, but I was referring more to the people that are a school filled with people that talk like that.
Oh, yeah. No, totally. That would take the biscuit.
The School of American Toms. It got a 2 in it. That was the second one.
It's got a pool in it. Oh, God.
Oh, Tom. So, yeah, you've been gone for a while. You celebrated Kat's birthday 2 weekends in a row, so that was a good excuse to get out of 2 shows.
It's never birthday or birthday week. It's birthday month with that one.
Ooh, yeah, she seems like one who'd like to celebrate her birthday as often as possible. Hey,
Yeah,
my birthday's at the end of February, but guess what? It's February 1st, Tom.
exactly. It's we still got the birthday cards all over the house.
Does
They'll be up
she
for another week.
put on a tiara at the beginning of the month?
She would if she could. Let's just put it that way.
That's where you draw the
Um,
line. You draw the line right near the washing machine in the kitchen.
damn right. Near the clothes dryer and the next to the TV.
Clothes dryer, TV, all in one.
Which is very accurate, by the way. um, well, since we've been gone, well, since I've been gone, Kat bought her first game console.
She did, I heard. I am proud of
Mm.
her.
Yeah, she bought a PlayStation Vita.
Ooh,
With
all you haters.
I know, we're there rocking our Vitas these days. It's great. She
Well,
got.
she is. Here was my prediction. You told me that she had bought it. I
Mm-hmm.
thought 3 days later it would be on the end table with nary a sideways glance.
Yeah, That's fair.
And
But actually, she's still playing it today.
whoa.
I know. I was thinking, yeah, how long is that gonna last? Because I think it's a handheld for the hardcore. So to jump in there as your first console, that's it's quite brave, I think.
It's an odd choice because
Yeah.
I was really strongly recommending the 3DS for her because it has a backlog
Hmm.
of two full consoles.
Agreed. Um, it also has a bit more scope with its with various genres. I I think she's more into puzzle games and sort of easygoing role playing action games.
Okay.
Um, and the Vita, yeah, it has some of those, but it doesn't totally cater. Um, and but her choices make sense. She's bought uh, Broken Age, the Double Fine game.
Okay. That was free on PSN for a while.
I know, but we can't share accounts on the Vita. God
Oh
damn it.
yeah. So she doesn't have
Um,
PlayStation Plus.
yeah, correct. I advised her not to get it because unless you're up for trying out loads of different games, it's not really worth it.
Well, plus they've
Um,
really stopped putting a lot of Vita games out there. When
yeah.
PS Plus first came out, is right around the heyday of the Vita, so they were just plugging games out there. So I have Gravity Rush and Uncharted and
Mm,
all of those really good ones for free.
Killzone.
Yep.
Yeah. Um, what else? Oh, she got The Walking Dead season one and two.
I mean, that's great on there. But she's already played those, hasn't she?
She played them with me, but she would have missed a few bits, and also I think she just wants to have her own story, which that makes
Hmm.
sense. I couldn't imagine playing through those again because you've once you've done it through, well, that's your story, you know. Like in my story, I walked away at the end with Kenny,
Yep.
but in hers, maybe it'll be totally different.
I took
Um,
over a village and turned away a starving mother and father with a child.
yeah.
My
Um,
Clementine was gangster.
yeah, mine too. And I was with Kenny all the way. I was never letting that guy down.
I mean, he'd
So
seen some shit.
I know, but he was a true survivor compared to the rest of them.
He was the epitome of do what needs to be done
Yeah,
because
yeah,
things kind of suck.
yeah, exactly. He was a good ally. So, she also got Uncharted Golden Abyss, which was an interesting choice because she's not played any kind of action adventure before.
It's the only Uncharted I haven't finished.
I just finished it recently, actually.
It's so long and there's so much to it.
There's a lot of shit to collect.
I got so sidetracked with the chalk rubbings.
Oh God, there's so much crap in that game. If you can get past all that, it's a really good canon Uncharted game, and I like it because you can only play that game on Vita.
Yeah.
It kind of belongs on it, and it's quite nice that it has that experience. But
It took a while to get used to the looseness of the sticks. Like it's not a very
yeah,
accurate shooter, but I think they did a good
no,
job of understanding the limitations of the system and
yeah,
didn't make the close quarters combat as difficult as some of the console versions.
agreed. And It's got some neat little features where you can climb with the touchscreen,
Oh, I loved that because
kind of
it'd be this big,
trace.
long, complicated climb, and it'd be like, go this way, and trace my finger along it, and I'm like, all right, I'm gonna take a sip of a drink.
Yeah. Um, so that's quite nice. And the only
Oh,
other thing,
has
oh,
she
go on.
picked up Danganronpa?
No, not yet.
Damn
So
it, Tom!
I'm playing that. I'm playing that at the moment.
Isn't that a
Um,
fantastic game?
do you know something? I've put about 2 hours in,
Oh,
and
you're not quite there yet.
nothing's happened yet. It's a lot of dialogue and a lot of getting used to the.
So you haven't gotten to the first trial yet.
No, not at
Oh
all.
man, when you get to the first trial, you're like, whoa,
Yeah.
this is it, because all of this dialogue leads up to that first trial, and your
Hmm.
knowledge of how all of these people interact and their personalities and viewpoints towards you has a huge bearing on that first trial.
Right. Okay.
So
I.
anybody who doesn't know what Danganronpa Trigger Happy Havoc is, it's basically Phoenix Wright with a lot more dialogue and backstory. I mean, I guess I haven't played many of the Phoenix Wrights, but the trial
Mm,
version of Phoenix Wright. But instead, at the end of the trial, whoever loses gets executed.
yep. I. I have a feeling. Uh. That it's gonna be that I should be making notes
It's
or does
overwhelming.
yeah, there's like so many like I'm really trying to be very careful with it and take my time with it because it feels like it deserves it. And there are 14 other characters to get to know, and they're all very different from each other.
And they're all really interesting.
Yeah, and you're trying to figure out, what this person's goal is and what they really think of this situation, and can you trust them? So I keep feeling like I should be making tons of notes while I'm playing this.
I think Kat would
Um,
really like that game.
I think so too. I think it's so. I bought her for Christmas a PSN gift card, with some cash on there. So I said, you just keep a lookout for Danganronpa because it always goes down to somewhere between £5 and £10, and just pick it up when you find it.
Yeah, you need it.
Um, the only other game she has, I think, is Little Big Planet.
I haven't played that on
Uh,
the. She
yeah,
needs to get Tearaway.
I have Tearaway, but I've yet to play it.
Dude, you have to play Tearaway. It's the best game on that console, bar none.
Better than Danganronpa.
Yeah, oh yeah, it's the best game on that console. It's
Wow,
meant to be played on the Vita.
bold claim, son.
Yeah, I
Bold,
like to make
yeah.
bold, unsubstantiated claims.
Fair. Yeah, okay. Tearaway is it's definitely on the list. I mean, during my time away from this show as well, I booked a flight to Japan.
Ooh,
So I'll be going there for 3 weeks, and that's a long ass flight. So I will probably play Tearaway then.
3 weeks.
I know, three weeks. That's the longest holiday I'm about to ever have.
I'd get bored on vacation after about 3 days.
I think because I've always wanted to go to Japan, I'm there's a lot that I want to see and do.
Yeah. Are you and Kat
And
going or just you?
it is going to be Kat and I. Yeah, we're going to Tokyo obviously for the first week, and
Well, she
then
has family over there, right?
yeah, her brother's living there. He's living in rural Japan, which is quite interesting.
Huh.
So it's English will not get you far, but at least he can speak uh, pretty good
What does
Japanese.
he do over there?
He teaches English to kids.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, it's pretty neat. It's like one of those exchange programs.
Nice.
He's there for a year. And then I think that we're going to try and get over to Korea, which would be quite neat.
North or south?
I think we'll go south this time.
I mean, good choice. I hear North Korea is pretty tumultuous.
Yeah, quite. There's not much food there,
Quite
and
politically controversial.
yeah, I mean, I'm sure it's beautiful, but I'm not sure my values fit there, if that makes
Nah.
sense.
I hear there's
Yeah,
a bit of a shelter there.
yeah. So I'll skip that one. I'll stick to the south. And well, actually, yeah. I mean, if anybody listening to this show has been to Japan, and they have any recommendations game related, I would be keen
Oh,
to hear
oh,
them.
you need to go to a bathroom that has the video game urinals.
Oh, that's yeah, goes without saying. I'm
Yeah.
looking forward to pooping in general.
I mean, who doesn't?
Maybe not in the urinals, but I heard the toilets have a lot of settings on them.
Seat warmers and built-in bidets. It's just my dream.
A built-in bidet. I mean, that is such a great idea.
Yeah. When
Come on.
we build a house, I think we've decided we're not going to buy, we're going to build. That's going to
Yeah.
be in every bathroom as a bidet
Yes,
and a
Eric.
urinal. I'm all about the waterless urinals. Like, there's nothing worse than having to walk in and lift the seat up and make sure you're not spraying everywhere. And you're like, just put a urinal on the wall.
Oh God, that's a great idea.
Yeah.
I would like that because then it actually saves water because you're not just flushing all the time.
Correct.
Oh man,
Conscientious of the environment.
we have similar ideals with the bathroom. Even just things like urinating in the shower.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, that was dividing everyone, but
That saves
I was
water.
completely on board with that. And it's sterile.
Pooping in the shower, not so much. I
No,
mean, that was
maybe not.
that was Dan, but he's from the north, so
Yeah, if you have roads going through your house, there's all sorts of other shit going on.
yeah. Poor Jock Buns. He still hasn't sent me my very own Jock Buns shirt.
Ah, I'll have to find one for you.
I think we have to at some point. Like, I'm just gonna buy a bunch of shirts and design shirts and screen press them myself.
I was gonna say, well, you could just go on Vistaprint or something and just upload a JPEG which just says Jog Pants on it.
Just know that if we ever make our own shirts, they're gonna be so bad. I mean, for example, my Photoshop skills were on full display for last week's image.
I think I think we should do. Yeah, I think we should also only sell XL.
But I need a women's small. Here's your men's XL.
Get it on.
Cuts down on costs.
Yeah. And it's just going to be like just a big square. There's no shape to it at all.
It's actually just a piece of flat fabric with a hole in it like a poncho.
Sleeveless.
Just can't be bothered.
Yeah. And our models will just be really big guys sat on like an armchair, sipping Bud Light, looking really disinterested.
You don't got that
With
t-shirt on again.
looking a bit like a crop top, like the stomach just hangs out a bit, just kind of hangs over the belt buckle.
Yes, but not by choice.
Not by choice.
It's a biological choice. I made a new purchase yesterday.
Is this a television that you bought?
Tis.
Can I have some of the details on this television?
So prior to tax season, Christy and I knew we were going to be getting a pretty substantial refund, and we said, you know what? I think it's time to upgrade our measly 55-inch 3D TV. I realized I've had that TV for almost 7 years.
Never let you down.
Never let me down. I've had some great times on that TV.
Nice. Is it in a Sony?
It's a Sony Bravia 55-inch 3D. Back when 3D was the tip of the nipples, which I don't know if many people know, but a few weeks ago, to absolutely zero fanfare, all of the major TV manufacturers went, yeah, we're discontinuing 3D. So 3D is officially dead.
Shit, I didn't know that.
Yeah, it is 100% dead in the home market.
Was it that bad? I'd never used one.
It was not good. I had a 3D TV for 7 years, probably put the glasses on less than 10 times.
It's completely nothing like the cinematic experience then.
Oh, no, it was great. It just, the glasses were big, they were unwieldy, they required batteries that drained constantly, and if you're sitting anything but level, and I understand there are different 3D TVs that had better mechanics than this, but mine, first of all, the sensor wasn't built in, so it had to sit on the top or the bottom, and I had to calibrate it. If I would tilt my head at all either direction, the 3D would disengage.
Ah,
And the glasses were shaded, so everything became darker.
Oh
Yeah.
God, that's not a good
But
experience.
man, playing video games in 3D was great.
Oh shit, that worked.
Like I
Yeah.
played through a decent chunk of Uncharted 3 in 3D, but
Oh,
it's just not it's not fun, really. At
okay,
the end of
okay.
the day, it's like I don't want to set all of this crap up just to play a game. I
Yeah.
just want to turn it on, sit on the couch and play.
Yeah, that's fair enough. It's a bit like Sony the PlayStation VR. Like it seems to have I don't know
Died?
if it's been as well received. There's nothing about it in Europe at all. I can't even find one in a shop.
No.
You can't even try them out.
I'll pick one up if I see it on super sale for $100. That's my threshold for that PSVR.
But it just feels like there's a lot to set up, and like you say, people just kind of want to
Oh yeah,
switch on their TV and just play a game.
trying to set up
It's,
the HTC Vive.
oh
Got to set
God,
aside at least 45 minutes to make sure it's perfect.
yeah.
We
And
had
the
it set up
ones,
for a trade show booth for work just to kind of lure people into the booth because we can sell the computers that power all of that.
hmm
It took us over an hour to get it working properly in optimal conditions with the correct equipment.
yeah. And see if people are watching that and thinking this is what I have to do every time I want to play a game for less than the time it takes to set up.
Correct.
It's no good.
Now, if you set it up in your office or your living room and just leave it set up, then it's fine.
Yeah, 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 like a dedicated room for
Hmm.
it. But other than that, it's,
So we back to the conversation at hand. We had a plan. I wanted to get a brand new 4K HDR TV, and through work I can get just a smoking deal on one of the Sony XBR series 75-inch TVs. Would have still been about $3,000.
okay.
So that was what I had budgeted myself. And then I started thinking about it. Well, I'm buying this TV for the HDR and the 4K because I want to play games on it. But to take advantage of that, I'm then going to have to buy another PS4.
Oh
So that
yeah,
instantly adds $400, $450 to the price tag. So
yeah.
now
It's
I'm
the
up at $3,500 for a TV to play PS4 games, which I don't
yeah.
play a ton of right now as it is. And
Mm.
the PS4 Pro really isn't even outputting at full 60 frames a second 4K. So it wouldn't really be necessarily worth it for me. So in the end, we decided scale our purchase back. My friend and
Mhm.
coworker actually just bought a brand new HDR TV. So he had a 75-inch Samsung, 2 years old, that was just sitting in his loft. And this is a 3,000 TV, $3,000 TV 2 years ago. He's like, give me $900 for it, and it's yours. Like, deal. So just a basic, really high end Samsung 1080p 75-inch TV.
Wow,
And then
what a
we
steal!
spent the rest of that money on other stuff like a bedroom set and bought a really nice
Mhm.
entertainment center from IKEA, which, ugh, I have to go back to IKEA today because the lady that helped me design it spec'd in a bunch of wrong parts, and then one of the door hinges didn't go in properly and shredded the screws, and just a nightmare.
Oh Jesus!
And I'm good at IKEA stuff.
I went to IKEA yesterday.
I spent over 2 hours in there yesterday.
Yeah, we have to spend at least four because we always end up eating in the restaurant,
Oh yeah,
and it's kind of this thing that you seem to have to do when you go there because it's so cheap and
their meatballs and French fries. Ooh.
correct. Meatballs, French fries, gravy, and then a soda.
So, do you agree? What's your take on the 4K HDR situation at the moment?
Uh,
Because that's kind of the new big push.
yeah, you see, I'm always a bit I'm always one step behind with TVs. I think that's pretty common to be fair, but for example, I had a 720p TV up until last year. I actually bought a 1080p TV for the first time January last year,
Oof.
and I love it. It's fantastic. But just when I bought it, that's when 4K was a thing. So I kind of feel like, oh, I haven't really future-proofed my purchase. But taking into account budget and what you actually want to achieve, what you want to be able to do on it, I'm totally happy with the purchase. And right now, 4K HDR, it's as great as it is. It seems like it seems like a huge investment for not a lot
Well,
of gain.
what it boils down to is a lot of TVs say they're 4K HDR, but when you look at the specs of it,
Hmm.
there's so many things you have to take into consideration. Hands down, the best 4K HDR TV on the market for gaming is the Samsung KS8000. However, it only comes in 65 inch. And in our living room, the space of our living room, 65 inch was too small. And I know that sounds
Yep.
ridiculous, but 55 inch, we had to move our couch up 4 feet
Jesus.
just to make it an acceptable
Yeah.
distance. It was impossible to
Yeah.
play games on it from where we wanted the couch.
That's interesting.
So
I
65 inch would have been right at the end of 65 inch was supposed to be like 8 feet to 11 and a half. And our
mhm.
couch was 12 and a half feet back.
Okay, okay.
So it's like we needed a 75 inch to achieve what we wanted to do.
Yeah.
Um,
Otherwise it's going to be it's there's nothing worse than having a TV that's just too small.
yeah, and I would have regretted
Yeah.
that purchase. And the other things to take into consideration too is, do you want HDR10 or do you want Dolby Vision? And then you have to look at, do you want local dimming? What's your HDR peak
Mm,
brightness? Do you want full array back? Do you want edge lit? And it kind of narrows all of this stuff down. So if you want a true 4K HDR experience, you have to get one of the higher end 4K HDR TVs that fully takes advantage
yeah.
of it.
Yeah,
Like the
that's
Vizio P&M series, they say they are, but it doesn't really quite fully achieve it.
yeah, I think you're right. I think it feels like you have to go absolute high end if you're gonna see straight away any difference. Um, that TV you were mentioning, the 65-inch Samsung,
Hmm.
is on the ground floor of my building because obviously working for Samsung. And when I was sat down there for a meeting, I looked across at the TV and watched some of the demo footage, and I was like, "Shit, that looks incredible!
It is the best
It
entry
looks
level.
so
Kotaku
good."
did a fantastic write up on how not to get screwed by HDR TVs. And
Hmm.
I'm sure a lot of people know that your TV has a mode called game mode, which
Yeah.
reduces input lag. That TV already had a 21 millisecond input lag, which is mind-blowingly low.
Wow.
The XBR that I wanted to get was almost 60. And we're talking
Oh,
milliseconds here, so we're not going to really notice that. But when you're
sure.
comparing stats,
Hmm.
the benefit of the KS8000 is that you could turn HDR on, and on most TVs, that disables the ability to activate game mode. The
Oh, shit.
KS8000, you can have HDR and game mode on simultaneously,
Okay, okay.
which makes it
Yeah.
the best.
See, I wouldn't have known that. I mean, you wouldn't know it until you dived into the stats.
And I've spent weeks researching this because I knew we were coming up to it. Like, we're going to be
Hmm.
buying a TV. What do I want it? Because
Yeah.
looking at how long I had my Sony, I spent $2,300 on that TV 7 years ago.
God. But
7 years ago.
that's yeah, it must have been top of the range at that time.
It was. It was the best Bravia
Mm.
TV out.
Those they make such good TVs. I've got a Sony TV, but Samsung do as well. Like their screens are really nice.
Yeah. So I just, at
Um,
the end of the day, I figured, you know what? The HDR stuff is cool. Do I need it? No. Because if I
mm,
buy a $900 TV, then I can go out and buy my Switch and a game or two, and buy
you're
my wife a bedroom set and get an entertainment stand and still
mhm.
have some money left over.
That's I think you've gone the sensible route, Eric, which is quite something. You really have turned over a new leaf.
Yes. It's the
Um,
new Leaf. But the old Eric would have been like, here's $3,000.
exactly. Yeah.
And I just spent a ton of money on LASIK a couple weeks ago. So,
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah.
I totally. I just remembered that.
That seems to, a lot of people have shown interest in that too. I shared a video with one of our listeners on that because
Nice.
he's like, you were explaining the bubbles, and I thought they were really big bubbles. I'm like, no, they're microscopic. I showed him a video of it too. I wanted them to record mine, but they wouldn't.
I think I think naturally that does get some interest because a lot of people these days in the last few years definitely have considered having it done, but it's hard to find someone that you know who has had it done.
If my recommendation is worth anything, if you're even close to the fence, just do it.
Yeah.
However, don't go to some hack. If you're getting charged anything less than $1,700 per eye. Walk away.
Interesting. Yeah, yeah. You don't want a Groupon buy one get one free.
No, I know somebody who had it done, both eyes combined for under 2 grand.
Yeah.
Nightmare. Issues
Oh
left and right.
shit.
Yeah.
No, that's you don't go cheap on your vision, son.
No. Them's
I
the eyeballs.
Cat was gonna was is really considering it, but apparently your eyes change during pregnancy. So she was like, probably look to do it after any children on the horizon.
Are you hinting at something, Tom?
No, no.
Tom, are you pregnant?
Me, I've got a bit of a gut. How dare you?
I mean, sorry.
How
Is
could you?
that insensitive?
I'm offended, actually.
Oh, sorry. I'd hate to offend you.
I don't like that.
Tom, we should talk about an old game, but not
Let's
quite our
talk
game of
about.
the week because something new came out. Well, not came out, but was released in regard to an upcoming remake of an old game.
An old game. What, like 97 sort of era?
Yeah, I think it may have changed the landscape of a certain genre forever
Um,
and
like what?
garnered a small following of people.
Shit, I think you're talking about Murder on the Eurasia Express.
Oh, man. The HD remake.
No, I know exactly you're talking about. You're talking about Final Fantasy, right?
Yes.
Because I saw a couple of little screenies recently
Mm-hmm.
um, on Kotaku sharing the Final Fantasy VII remake on and roughly where it's at. Apparently, they wanted to show a video, but the office didn't allow it.
I wonder why.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe there's just I I actually don't know why they wouldn't. If they had video footage, even if it had just been like a 10-second animation, that would have brought it to life. That would have been really really nice to see.
I mean, that one screenshot that they show is from the
Hmm.
first boss battle with the Scorpion tank, which I think everybody can remember because it's iconic. It's your first boss battle in one of the best games. They showed two screenshots. The first one without or the other one without the snake or the Scorpion tank looks like it's right at the beginning when you first get off the train.
It looks a little bit like in Final Fantasy 15 when you go into various bases and you have to be a bit stealthy, hiding behind stuff.
Cover mode, yeah. This
Yeah,
looks like it's going to play like a weird hybrid between a third person shooter and an RPG.
agreed.
So
Did you
a
notice
lot like 15.
that? Did you notice that Cloud has like 1400 HP in that screenshot?
Yeah, that's really weird. And Barrett has, it looks like 1700.
I don't know what it is these days with some of these late, more recent RPGs scaling in a strange way, where the damage is so high, and it's all obviously fairly relative. But I prefer the old way, I guess. But maybe
When
this is just
you're
I'm used to.
when you're hitting for like 13 damage.
Yeah, yeah,
Because
that's
then by
more
the
like.
end, when you're really hitting for 9,999, you're like, I've earned this.
Yeah, it just means something. Like
Yeah.
when you attack and you're hitting for 9,000, you're like, yeah, I really worked for this. I was hitting 15 a few days ago. Now I'm hitting for 9 grand.
Yeah.
But when you're just slashing for like 600, 900, that it's just numbers on a screen and you can't really gain any balance as to where you're at in a battle. But it's a little thing. It just was something that I noticed in one of the screenshots.
I was reading some people's impressions on the screen on the boss battle, and they were saying that it almost looks too chaotic. Like, what's up with all the laser and the fire and the explosions and smoke? Like, you can hardly tell what's going on. And I'm sitting there thinking,
Yeah,
well, this is more true to how one of these battles would actually look.
true.
Because
Yeah,
the I love how they put the reference shot, like in case you forgot what it looked like in '97. It's just this really shitty polygon image with a couple lasers shooting out. Back in the day, we're like, man, that looks awesome.
yeah, yeah.
But now
Um,
it's like, oh, that looks bad.
yeah. If they could have done that in 1997, they would have.
Yeah, I mean,
It
this thing is
wasn't,
shooting lasers and Gatling guns.
and using its search scope,
Yeah.
like it's spraying all sorts everywhere. There's loads going on, and Barrett has a full-on firearm on his body, so he's going to be making some noise and some serious visuals.
They've really changed up the look of Barrett, though. I mean,
He's really slim.
he's slim. I pictured him as like a world class lifter. He wasn't fat. He was just thick.
Yeah, totally.
You'd rip a steel beam in half.
He's kind of this big burly guy.
And I think they have definitely gone with the Advent Children Cloud.
Oh, 100%. He looks like he's just been lifted from that movie.
Which is okay as
Despite
long as they don't give him the same voice.
Oh yeah, we mentioned this. He had a really whiny, bitchy voice in the film.
Well, they'd completely changed his personality.
Yeah, because I pictured him differently in the original. Well, when I kind of when I'm playing the original game, I think he's very cold and he's kind of like a mercenary that doesn't is not particularly empathetic or caring about those around him. It's just about getting the job done and being paid.
But that doesn't mean he doesn't have emotions. I always pictured him as
Yeah,
contemplative.
sure.
He understands the significance of what's happening around him.
He does, but he also refuses to have any responsibility or accountability for what's happening in the world. Like
Correct.
at that time he feels like the world is bigger than him and that he just wants to get in, get out, and get paid. But you're right, he does feel the gravity of the situation at the same time. But
I feel like that exact part right there, they took that and just made a character out of that small caveat of his personality and put that in the movie. Like, oh, I'm emo and depressed and I'm running a delivery service.
it's a shame because I love the build up of Cloud because when you meet Tifa, he has something to fight for all of a sudden, and then people around him start to say, don't you care about the planet? Don't you care about all of this? And the introduction of Sephiroth and his whole past when Cloud goes through his entire past in that town near Midgar. It's a
Calm.
really nice, yeah, calm. It's a really nice evolution of his character. So I'm hoping, I hope they do something similar in the remake. I know we've discussed before about the remake as to whether it truly will be, level for level, area for area, the same carbon copy of what we remember 20 years ago.
I think on some
But
level it almost has to be.
you know me, I think it has to be too because people will be seriously upset if they cut a ton of stuff out of this.
I don't think people will be upset if they add to it because, let's face it, there were some parts that needed some expanding. And we've talked quite at length about Crisis Core and how that needs to be a part of this Final Fantasy lore. Like, it's such a phenomenal game that so few people have actually played.
Totally, because
Dan just played it for the first time last year.
I couldn't believe that when he'd said he'd never played it.
Yeah.
I mean, it has Final Fantasy VII in the name.
But he did himself a disservice by ruining the ending for himself. He just watched the ending of it years ago. I'm like, dude, that's one of the most powerful video game endings.
It's really good. And the game itself plays brilliantly on the handheld, even today.
Yeah, and the fact that they don't have that as something playable on the Vita, they really missed the market for the Vita, because I think that probably would have been a little bit more of a seller. Because there are certain PSP games you can play on the Vita.
Yeah, definitely. I don't know. Yeah, going briefly back to the Vita, I don't know really what happened there, but I mean, it's when everybody played Golden Abyss when it first came out, I think people thought, "Wow, this is what this console is going to be. These are the experiences we're going to get from here on in." And you look at the RPGs like Crisis Core from their previous catalog. And if another one of those had come out for the Vita, you could have been looking at this great big behemoth of RPGs and action adventure titles that were really rich with content.
Well, and Sony had so many franchises that they could have put onto the Vita that they didn't. Like, they could have made a dedicated Grand Theft Auto. Granted, it would have had to come out on other stuff too, because it's not just a Sony IP, but they could have pushed for that because the console could power it, and not just these Chinatown War remakes.
Chinatown Wars was so difficult. Like I had to give up on that.
What's your take on the combat system here? It looks like the magic and materia are separated, which is
Didn't
odd
totally.
because materia is your magic.
Yeah, I can only I can't deduce much from that UI. It's very basic and clean, which is nice, but I don't understand the difference between. I just remember you used to be able to go in the menu outside of battle, go to magic, and that's where you could use magic like, cure or life.
Yeah.
But when you're in battle itself, I don't know if it's a mechanic to swapping materia. I don't know if materia is even going to be used.
Oh man, if
Um,
the materia if they remove it, it's that deflates the core of the game because any
yeah,
JRPG worth its while is held up by its combat system.
I I reckon magic is your typical elemental attacks, and materia is perhaps um,
Your summons,
things, either your summons or things that affect your attributes. Maybe like things like, do you remember added effect and
like
all,
all and stuff like that.
yeah, or the kind of blue and yellow materia.
But why would they need a dedicated menu for that in the combat?
Because I don't know.
Because those are all
Yeah,
passive.
I feel like they're in, maybe you can only to differentiate. You can have enhancers and then the magic itself, but it doesn't make sense. Like in terms of the wording they've used, magic and materia, I don't understand. So I think that was when I looked at some of the responses to that article. There were other people confused with that one as well.
Hmm.
Um, but I'm still. I mean, I'm trying not to get too excited. I'm just being very passive. But the news comes in, I read it, but I'm not gagging for news on this game. I kind of want them to go away and carry on making it and make the best product they can.
I like how they're not
Um,
flooding us with stuff though.
yeah, I don't want tons of videos and
This is great because it
uh,
reminds us like, hey guys, we actually are working on this.
yeah,
Don't do don't pull a Last Guardian or a Final Fantasy 15 where you just disappear for 3 years.
yeah, totally. It's nice to be updated and kept in the loop. Like, hey, this is still running. This hasn't been cancelled. Um, just keeping the conversation going. That's important.
I'm still looking forward to it. I still would
Yeah.
like to hear them make the Final Fantasy VIII HD remake.
Oh, you and me both, man.
But Final Fantasy 12 HD,
Yep. When's that dropping? Is that April sometime?
it
I can't remember.
is.
Or is it March? It was one of those two, I'm sure. I don't think it's far off.
Let's
Um, and that's a
see.
Final Fantasy I've never played, so
I always get to about 14 hours, the exact same location, and just stop.
does something happen? Does
No, I
like
just
it
get
just
sidetracked.
story drops off a cliff?
No, story's fantastic.
Oh, it's very political,
Jul-
isn't it?
yeah, it's very political, which is why I like it because it takes place in Ivalice, which was from Final Fantasy Tactics, and I loved Tactics. So this was the
Nice.
first return to that, and then 11 and 14. But it comes out on July 11th, which is going to be great
Oh,
for the
okay.
summer slump.
Oh, nice, nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. I thought it was sooner than that, but that's perfect actually, because I've still got um, a couple of other RPGs I would like to play between now and then.
Before we move on to our game of the week, I want to touch really quickly on a game that I discovered a week ago that I had zero heads up on. It wasn't even on my radar. I didn't even know it existed till one of my friends said, "Hey, have you looked into this yet?" A little game from Team Japan called Nio.
Oh yeah,
Good lord, this game is insane.
isn't that supposed to be sort of the next Onimusha? Like
No, not even close. This game
no?
is a 100% Dark Souls clone. 100%.
Oh, so it's really really difficult.
It's physically Dark Souls set in feudal Japan.
Oh,
But it does it well, and there's enough that's different that sets it apart. So I can be playing this and be like, I am playing Nio, but boy, this feels like Dark Souls. It's a great homage. It's not a copy, it's an homage to it. However, everything's identical, down to the rock solid combat, weapons and items. This game has tons of loot. It's like Diablo-esque loot, where you've got your different colored tiers, different amounts. It's overwhelming amounts of loot. But the core concept remains the same of traverse through a mission, fighting really difficult enemies. If you die, all of your Amrita, or souls, if you want to get a reference point, drop on the ground, along with, and this is where it's really different and cool, you have a guardian spirit you can choose from. I started off with a fox, but you can get a shark, you can get a dragon, then you can unlock more. So I've switched out to a bull. But as you're fighting, you can fill up your guardian spirit meter, and when it's full, you can activate it for a short, like 20-second burst of insane amounts of power. But if you die, all of your Amrita and your guardian spirit drop on the ground. If you get back to it, you get to restore it. If you die, they disappear. So very similar to Dark Souls in that way, but there are shrines that serve as refresh points. When you touch them, all the enemies come back to life. When you die, you return to that one. So very, very, very similar. However, it's not one giant interconnected world. You actually have continents with missions and submissions, and then from there you can go to Twilight missions, which are super difficult versions of those former missions. But the combat itself is really neat because they've incorporated multiple abilities to recharge your stamina mid-combat. So if you're doing this huge combo, at the end, it will... So if you've got a green stamina bar, what you've used from your stamina will turn red and then slowly recharge in a light blue. And if you hit R1 or do a different maneuver at that time that recharges that, it will instantly restore all your stamina and you can start going back into it.
Oh, nice.
So it adds a whole new layer of complexity to the combat. But this game is way harder than Dark Souls 3 ever could have hoped to be.
Seriously?
The first main boss, took me 45 tries. The second boss took me just as many.
Fuck.
And I went through Dark Souls 3 and I one-shotted at least 30% of the bosses.
I have heard... I'd never heard that it was that difficult, but I have heard the game is incredible.
It's great.
Sold out everywhere.
It's impossible to find. I went to the Target down the street from my house and just figured, I walked through nothing. This was like 4 days after it came out. Asked the guy behind the counter. He's like, well, we should have some. He searched for it, couldn't find it. He's like, yeah, I guess we don't have any. So I'm walking around the store and I hear this, sir. And he comes running up behind me. He's like, I found one. I'm like, great, I'll buy it. And then I showed it off to a couple of my friends, and one of them was like, I have to have this. He spent a day searching Phoenix for it. One of the largest cities in the country. And it took him a day to find a copy.
Oh my God. That's insane.
Amazon is 2 months out on shipping.
Ugh. Yeah, I think if you try and order it on Amazon in the UK, it will come to you maybe next Friday. On Prime.
See, this was with Prime. It's that far out.
Yeah, that's crazy.
It's so good. It's just incredible. There's so much to it. I don't want to spend a ton of time diving into the differences between it, but it is so good because of all of the differences that are there.
Was it just not particularly well marketed and stuff? Because I never really heard of it until
it wasn't marketed at all.
Yeah.
I knew nothing about this game.
Because in London, for pretty much all games that come out, there are these huge posters all over the trains and the on the buses and stuff. But there's nothing for Neo, nor Nio, however you pronounce it.
Yeah, it's insane.
Same with Yakuza 0. Apparently, that's incredible.
I couldn't get into the Yakuza series. I've tried.
Not labeled anywhere.
Yakuza 4 was free, and I didn't like it.
Oh, me neither. I tried that. Was that when it was on PS Plus for PS3?
Yeah, because I'm like, finally, great. A Yakuza game. I can dip my feet in this, find out if I really like it. And all I discovered was I really don't like it.
Just running up and down this one road and there's random conversations happening. You're just, what the fuck am I supposed to do?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if you see a copy of Nio and you even remotely enjoyed Dark Souls, I'd say buy it. It's that good.
Nice.
I'm on
I
the
think
third
I.
boss, and I've been beating my head against a wall with him for 3 days now.
Oh God, it sounds like an absolute
Because you have
heartbreaker.
different weapons that so at the beginning you can choose two different weapon proficiencies. You can choose
Yeah.
sword, dual sword, axe, spear, or kurisagama, which is like a sickle with a chain.
Uh-huh.
And that kind of affects where you get your dex stat or your strength stat based on whatever you want. But then the game will drop more of those items for you throughout. So it kind of pigeonholes you in that sense. But every weapon you can then upgrade specific skills to it and get more combos for it. So it physically changes. Whereas Dark Souls is like, hey, you've got a spear now. You can press R1 and you get a different finisher move. This one, you physically get different move sets. But you can still play with those other weapons throughout the game. You just might not be as good with them.
Got you.
So good. And you can sell your loot for souls.
Oh,
So you go back to the shrine and you just go dump off all of your loot and make an offering. Sometimes you'll get items back. Sometimes you'll get nothing. But you'll
nice.
always get a little bit of Amrita or souls and gold.
But when you start, is there some kind of character creation, or you just
No, you are a guy named William from Northern England. So he looks a
like
little bit like
Dan
Dan.
territory?
Yeah.
Pity me.
I think he's from Pity Me.
Nice.
Um,
Okay. Well, if I find it, I will. I will certainly look into that one.
yeah. Highly, highly, highly recommended.
Hmm,
Apparently it's
excellent.
really long too.
Oh, geez.
Oh yeah. Super
That,
long. There's
that,
like 45 some odd bosses. And this third one that I'm stuck on isn't even the main mission boss. He's just a mid-mission boss. Probably up over 30 tries on him already.
yeah, it says average main story time 25 and a half hours.
That's crazy.
Main plus extra, you're looking at 38 and a half.
Yeah.
For,
I put
for
50 hours into Dark Souls 3.
wow. Oh, you managed to beat the extra bosses and stuff, didn't you?
Yeah,
I
I
remember.
beat all of them.
I remember those. The old share play.
I mean, I may just be really bad at Nio right now.
It's probably one of those games where you guess you learn over time. You know, you just it takes you a long. It's got quite the learning curve, but once you nail it,
Or you just don't learn and just eventually get lucky.
yeah, true. But like you say you beat more than 30% of the bosses in Dark Souls 3 first time.
Yeah.
That probably helps that you played Dark Souls 2, the original, and Demon Souls
Yeah.
and Bloodborne.
This one's just so different because the combat is geared differently. You have the ability to regenerate your stamina and you've got different combo moves and things like that. So there's a lot more to it.
Yeah, that's fair enough.
No. It's still a fantastic game if you can find it.
Yeah.
Real quick, did you see that video about the Nintendo Switch where the guy got a copy or got a system early and leaked the UI?
No. Oh, no, I didn't. No, I didn't. I thought I had, but no, I saw something else, which was, oh, it was fake. It wasn't real.
Yeah, apparently somebody bought a Wii U that had been leaked.
Oh
Person
man.
who bought it from said that he got it from a local distributor. Turns out it had been stolen. So Nintendo contacted this guy. He ended up sending it back to him because technically, since it was stolen, it's still Nintendo's. But the UI is really clean.
I'm on a YouTube video at the moment, and from a guy called Distify. I'm guessing that is him.
Probably.
It seems to be. It doesn't look like it's fake, but so he had to send it back.
Yeah, I don't know if
Otherwise,
Nintendo strong armed him into it,
yeah.
but he couldn't do anything with it. He couldn't update it. He couldn't activate the console or anything like that.
Did he? Any? I guess he didn't have any like games or anything.
No. But
God.
it's mind blowing that we are a little under 2 weeks away from the release of the console, and we have yet to officially see the UI or hear anything about the Virtual Console.
Yeah, that is. It's very much in the dark, isn't it? I. Do you know what? I think I am going to get one though, Eric.
I am too. I've decided.
Yeah,
I think I
think
have
I'm
to.
gonna.
I mean, if not for the show,
Hmm.
Dan said he's just going to wait a couple of years.
Well, because Dan sent me a link recently where the Switch you can pre-order a Switch for £200.
What?
That's really good.
I mean, Tom, that sounds too good to be true.
Yeah, I have to be very careful,
Yeah.
but
Who are you ordering it through? Some guy in Craigslist?
it's it is a retailer that I recognize. It's called GameSeek. And they are legit, but I'll have to check it again.
I'm debating about whether or not I want to get the Pro controller because it comes with the Joy-Con grip that looks like a dog mashed together with a brick.
Yeah.
And I don't know how comfortable that's going to be, so I think I'm going to give that a try. And if I
Okay.
don't like it, see, that's the thing. Those Pro controllers are impossible to find.
Oh man.
And they're $70.
I know. I I think if I get one, I'll get it in Japan because it'll be a lot cheaper there.
And it's region free.
Yeah. But yeah, it is stupid how expensive those controllers are.
Yeah. So we're about a week out from a new Nintendo console. I'm actually getting kind of excited. The fact that it's launching with a Zelda game is fantastic. I think I'd rather prefer it to be a Mario game.
Yeah, true. Something a bit more casual.
Yeah, if this Zelda game were going to be exclusive to the Switch, then I'd be more excited about it. I'm still really excited, but I'd prefer it to be a Switch exclusive first party game.
Yep.
But I'm not going to be a beggar
No.
or a chooser. I'll just be a user.
Do you think you'll pick up the Crash Bandicoot trilogy? Or are you not as keen as Dan?
I'm going to get that for sure.
Yeah, me too. I think that's my next PS4 game purchase unless I find a copy of Nio.
I just got a message from one of our listeners that the Pro controller apparently has a 40-hour battery life.
Wow.
That makes the $70 price tag totally worth it because the DualShock 4, maybe 5-6 hours.
I'm charging that thing all the time.
Yeah.
I have two on rotation.
Yeah, that's the only reason I have two. I very rarely play two-player games. It's just, dead. Next one. That's crazy. Plus, it's got the HD Rumble built into it, so I am excited about it.
It's just that game. I've watched a few videos of people playing 1-2 Switch. It looks so bad.
It does. It looks so dumb.
It looks so lame. Like the draw thing with like the duel.
Yeah,
looks really lame. But we'll see. We'll see how.
I think I'm only going to be getting Zelda at launch.
Yeah, me too.
So, Tom,
yeah,
we should probably get to our game of the week. We are about an hour in.
Oh, it's just time flies when you're having fun. There's another idiom.
Time flies when the pigs come home.
Oh, there you go. That's a better one.
Yeah.
We should. You're right.
We should. This week, I decided to choose my new leaf for our schedule this year is games we probably should have played but haven't.
Mm-hmm.
We chose Klonoa for this week.
What's Klonoa?
Klonoa is an old PS1 platformer that falls into this really weird category that's dubbed 2.5D.
Mm-hmm.
Meaning,
we all know about that these days.
Meaning, everything is rendered in 3D, but you, the player, are relegated to a 2D side-scrolling movement.
Yeah.
Not many games have done it well. Like some of the more famous ones would be Crash Bandicoot.
Oh, yeah. And I guess more recently, I think Mighty Number 9.
Mighty Number 9, Little Big Planet, the new Super Mario Brothers U.
Oh, and was New and Tasty 2.5D?
That would technically classify as 2.5D.
Yeah.
But back at the time, remember, we're in
yeah,
98-ish, 97?
Mm-hmm. Oh.
97 for Japan, 98 for the US.
Mm-hmm.
Um, really weird concept that didn't do very well, but Klonoa nails it.
It does.
Absolutely nails it. I sent a message to Dan when I first started playing this, like, it's a
Mhm.
shame you're not on this week because Klonoa is fantastic.
Yeah.
I've
I
seen this
was
game
thinking.
countless times from like, because it doesn't really have that appeal of like the Crash Bandicoot. It doesn't have the Jack and Daxter or um, Sly Cooper, the
Yeah.
brand recognition to it, which is a
No,
shame because this game is so good.
I agree. Like Klonoa, I've seen the cover, I recognize it, but first of all, Klonoa was not well received or popular at all in Europe. When we go back to this PlayStation era, PS1 era, there was the gap between releases in Japan to the US to Europe was quite long.
I remember
Um,
that when Europe didn't get
mm,
games till quite a long time after.
yeah, definitely. Sometimes not at all. It just it seems things like in the PS2 era, some of the Star Ocean games they just and the Grandia games never made it over because if they had poor sales in the US was the testing ground for translating a game. If it didn't do well in North America, then it just wouldn't make its way to Europe.
I mean, I guess at the time the lesson to take away is move to America.
Well, there you go. See, that's how you get around that one.
Yeah, I mean, come
Never
on.
mind the Come on, it's simple as that. Huh?
I mean, it's just market economics. Where should just go where people are go where it's good.
Go where the product is.
Yeah, you want that game? Move to America. On a side
um,
note from that, I don't think I could be a hardcore gamer and live in Australia.
oh yeah, they have it worse. I think
Oh yeah,
they
any of
have it
our
worse.
Australian gaming listeners, I would love to hear some
Mhm.
of your it's been banned stories
Oh
and how
yeah,
you've
so
gotten
many.
around that.
Yeah, I'd be interested to hear a few popular games that never saw the sunlight in Australia. To
I
see why.
remember reading something, I don't recall the specifics about I think it was The Witcher 2 and how
Oh
people were getting that in Australia by changing their region settings within the program they were downloading it from,
God.
which seems like a
Yeah.
really simple oversight.
Yeah.
Instead of like, oh, hey, here's your IP address. This is where it's going. Block.
There there were things that we did in Europe too, where you would just try to break the region locking system in your console to try and play American games. That was really common. Um,
I'm
what
glad
else did
region
we?
locking is not really a thing anymore.
Yeah, agreed. People are still doing it even today with other services like, you know, um, the American version of Netflix has different shows, so people will reroute their systems to use the American Netflix.
And that's not that hard to do.
It's not. It's just it's one of those things where people you want the content as soon as it's available in the language you understand, and so when it goes to one whole continent first, and then you have to wait and wait and wait. I mean, it gets harder in this day and age to wait for anything, right? We're in this kind of culture of got to have it now, and I'm guilty of that definitely.
Oh, yeah.
Just if
However,
it's
I will
available.
still drive 20 miles to a store to get a physical copy of a game instead of downloading it from my couch in my underwear.
Yeah, that's fair. I can understand that
I can't stand digital only.
because I think I wonder if one day we'll end up in a where the whole architecture is changed and we will
I think we
have
will.
digital.
We just don't have the infrastructure for it at the moment.
No, not
Until
everyone's got.
everybody has in home gigabit internet
Yeah, until everyone moves to Phoenix.
in my neighborhood.
Yeah, in your neighborhood.
Yeah.
Um, so
I mean, back to Klonoa. We got a little
yeah,
sidetracked there.
yeah.
Uh, I don't know what Klonoa is. He's your main character. He looks like a cat mixed with a raccoon that has floppy bunny ears with fingers on the end of it.
Oh, he's apparently a mouse, isn't he?
He's a mouse?
I think so.
There's no way he's a mouse.
I think
So
he is.
no way.
I don't know. He's kind of like
He's like an anthropomorphic creature.
a slightly more evil, a slightly more evil Mickey Mouse.
He's not very appealing. Like you look at like some of the characters that we listed off before and they're recognizable. It's like he's surely not that recognizable.
God.
I think if you just showed him in a lineup with a bunch of really famous video game characters, you'd be hard pressed to find a ton of people that'd be like, "That's Klonoa."
No, I agree. He's a lot more popular in Japan.
I could see that.
He has that kind of look.
So this game takes place in the world of Phantomile.
Which I kept reading as Phantomville.
Yes.
For some reason.
Which is the subtitle of the game, Door to Phantomile. There are 5 locations.
I thought there was 7.
I think it's
5.
5. So I got up to... So I went through Breezegate, Wind Village... Or no, I'm sorry, Breezegate is the Wind Village. Jugpot, and I made it up to Forelock. I think there's only 2 after that. I just think there's the... Hold on, let me look quick. Coronia and Cress, which is the Temple of the Sun and the Moon Kingdom. I think that's it.
Let me see. Setting. No, I can't remember exactly where I got to. Temple of the Sun, maybe?
Yeah. So anyway, the game revolves around this common core of dreams. And I really like the opening cutscene where you see this ring floating through the sky. And the wording that comes across is something to the effect of, sometimes I can't remember the dreams or my dreams, even though I'm sure I've seen them. Where do they go? And then he goes on to say, but I do remember one dream as clearly as though I saw it reflected in a mirror. And apparently this dream energy is a substance that is made up of those forgotten dreams. And that's gathered in a certain location in Phantomile. And that's what's said to give Phantomile its shape and form. So this land, it subsides off of energy created from forgotten dreams. That's what I was able to pull from what's going on. I think what really sets this game apart, though, is how well it does the 2.5D.
Yeah, I wasn't expecting... I was expecting it to be a bit shoddy, to be honest, to say the least, for a game from 1997. To achieve 2.5D the way it did, because actually it works really well.
It does. And I think what really is neat about how they've done it, instead of other games like Crash Bandicoot or New Super Mario Bros. U, where it's just, okay, great, the backgrounds look really good. Mm-hmm. This game, you actually interact with the backgrounds, and the camera is excellent in how it moves around, and certain locations, the camera will rotate to reveal secret locations that you can get to.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah, and it's not too laggy either, and the camera pans nicely with you.
It does.
And yeah, it's just really neat. I mean, there are a few moments where the depth can kind of trick you a bit, and it's hard to gauge where you are on that other axis, that kind of hidden third axis, especially with some of the boss battles. It can just be really difficult to gauge exactly where a character is. So with one of the bosses, they're kind of leaping at you from the background into the foreground, and so you have to time it just right so that they're matching your eyesight. Like Klonoa's line of vision from left and right, he has to match that.
Yeah, because you can throw it in front of him as they're coming towards you, and you'll miss.
Correct. It does play with shadows quite nicely, and you can kind of match them up in that sense. But that is one of the things in the game that can be a little bit tricky to achieve.
The combat itself took me a little while to figure out, because you only have one move.
Yeah, just it's just jump and shoot, isn't it? That's all you have.
It's the ring blade.
Yeah, which
No,
kind
not
of
ring blade. Shit, what's it called? The
oh the
wind bullet.
wind bullet. Yeah,
So you shoot out this bullet towards enemies, and if they're not shielded or protected, you pick them up.
yeah. It's a
And
little bit like Kirby.
it does. It plays very similar to Kirby. From
Mm.
there, you can throw the enemy left or right, or you can jump and then double jump again and use that enemy as kind of a springboard.
That took me a whole level to figure that out.
Yeah, I got to this wall. I'm like, I don't know how to get by here because you can
Yeah.
jump and kind of do a little flutter. I'm like, maybe I'm not doing it right. I actually had to look it up.
Oh, I see. I guess I figured it out, but it was just trial and error because a lot of the enemies respawn because I mean you could just be essentially stuck if they didn't because sometimes I mean the game utilizes enemies very well. Like you have to sometimes you just have to have them in the right place at the right time to progress.
Yes, and you have to have a certain enemy to do it because there are variations. You can pick up like flying enemies, and when you grab them, they'll start floating you up higher, so you can reach higher locations.
Yeah.
But what's really neat, and this took me a few levels to figure out, is that you can actually take the enemy that you pick up and throw it into the foreground or into the background.
I don't know if I ever did that.
Yeah, so if you have an enemy and you press up, you'll throw it into the background. So sometimes it'll be
Oh,
boxes or those eggs that you can pick up. They'll
yeah,
be in the
yeah.
background.
I never did that.
Yeah. It's
I would have
really
missed
hard
a
to
few
line up
things.
because like you were saying, the camera is so
Mm,
precise that you have to be at just the right angle. And sometimes the camera will be a little off kilter, so you'll be looking kind of forward back at him,
mm,
but he'll throw it as if it's straight 2D.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
really
It's weird.
neat. It's really
But
cool. There are
yeah.
gems and things to pick up that just give you. It's kind of like coins. When you get 100 of them, you get an extra life. There
Hmm.
are certain creatures
Really?
you can pick up
Oh yeah, yeah.
within each vision that give you some sort of like puzzle panel. And I don't know what happens if you collect all of them.
Oh yeah, yeah. I noticed that, but I didn't actually. I didn't ever manage to collect enough to figure out what it was. Also, I don't know what those eggs do. Did you ever figure that out? There
The
were
eggs,
yeah. Every now and again, you'd come
certain.
across a white and green egg that you could jump on, and it would animate, but it
If
didn't
you
seem to
shoot
do.
it with an enemy, there's stuff in it.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that.
Well, you would have had to for certain ones because sometimes there's a key in it.
I must have done it accidentally then.
Yeah. Like there's ones in
Maybe.
the background that'll give you extra gems or free
Mm,
lives or things like that.
okay, fair enough. No, I didn't know
The bosses, man, that first boss was so much fun.
that. Remind me of the first boss
It
again.
was
Oh, he's kind of jumping, like doing these huge jumps, and you have to run underneath him and hit him in the back, right?
yeah, and these enemies will pop up. You have to pick him up and throw him at his back, but
Yeah.
he'll do these ground pounds that send out like this earthquake wave, and you have to jump over that, run around behind him. But if he can catch up to you and jump, and you could run back behind him and drop as he drops down. It reminded
Yeah.
me of a few battles from Super Mario Galaxy.
I was about to say Mario 64, but yeah, totally. It was very Mario-like.
I got to that first battle because through the first vision, I'm like, I kind of like this game. I mean, it's okay. I got to that first boss battle and went, yep, this game is fantastic.
It's really good. I'm really glad you recommended it because like I said, never heard of Kelowna, and I'm pretty into platformers, but I definitely don't play as many these days, apart from the latest Ratchet and Clank. But I've not really dabbled in many others. But this one was actually genuinely fun to play.
I really enjoyed each day sitting down to play. Like, I'm actually looking for some of the games that we play are kind of a slog.
Yeah, they are.
That's why I'm
Yeah,
like, because it's so happy. It's done in such a cutesy art style, and the music is great.
yeah. The music's really good.
Really
Very
like the
surprising.
music. Um,
Um, I think you're right. It's cute. It is very cutesy in its kind of tone. And Kelowna has a little helper with him as well, doesn't he? Can't remember his name. Hugh something.
Hugh Poo?
Hugh Pow.
Hugh Pow, yeah.
Yeah, his little buddy.
Annoying.
Um, Yeah, like those guys always are.
Yeah.
Um, and yeah, it's very cutesy. Like when you have to rescue the fish from his cage. Did you get as far as that one?
Yes, I did. That's the last boss. Man, that one was tough.
That boss is really tough. Like I can't believe they made that boss second. It's basically a fish with the main boss, riding her in the middle of the pool, and they just jump out at you from the center to the foreground, and you have to time it right to kind of pick him up off her and throw it back at the fish or something. I can't remember how I did it now, but
Yeah,
it took
so
me many tries.
I didn't get as far as I wanted to. I didn't beat it,
Mm,
but you've
no.
beaten a few more bosses than I have. Do all of them revolve around some sort of circle fashion?
No.
Okay.
Actually, the last boss I beat was really interesting. You stood on a wooden platform, but it's made to, and this wooden platform moves back towards the camera and then forward towards the enemy. So it's kind of swinging,
Huh.
and it kind of creates this nice depth of field. And I don't know, it looks Mario 64 esque. They've kind of done really well to kind of give you this 3D image.
Well, there are places in the map too where you'll get on a gondola and it'll take you into the background to go pick something up, and you get on the gondola and it comes back to the foreground.
Yeah, yeah. Um, I like the bits as well when you're kind of I think it was the level where there's waterfalls, but they
The
are
reverse
running in
waterfall.
but yeah, and you kind of jump on the water and it just carries you away into this kind of timing based action sequence of. I thought that was neat.
They did a lot of
Um,
really cool stuff. But back to that second boss though.
mm,
You're on these two platforms that kind of go around in a semicircle with a gap between the two. And at the back there's this machine that's spitting out giant spiked balls that roll around each side and then drop into the middle. But they're offset just enough so that you have to jump back and forth over that gap. The fish
mhm,
with the boss on it will jump towards the screen, towards you. You have to dodge that. And then he'll go back to the center. The boss will jump off onto one of the balls. You need to jump over the boss, pick him off the top of it, and then throw it
mhm.
either into the background or dodge the balls and wait for the fish to jump towards you into your line of sight and throw it across. Really,
Ah,
really
okay.
difficult.
Okay, so I see what you mean now because I never I never realized you could actually throw into the foreground or background. So I was doing the other method of trying to time it right so that when the fish jumps in line with the platform that you're standing on and then throwing it, which
That's
didn't
how I
always
ended
work.
up doing it, but you could, if you wanted to time it right or were at the
Hmm.
right angle,
Hmm.
throw it into the background. But the camera wasn't always perfectly behind you, just to
No.
give you that little off-centered parallax view.
Yeah, yeah.
The
No,
bosses
it
were a
was
ton of fun. The ones that I played, but I wish I would have made it to the one that you were telling about because that sounds really cool.
yeah, it was really good. And it's the same mechanic of obviously as well as having the main boss, you have a lot of little guys and you're having to use them as your weapon basically. But it was the boss design was nice as well. Like it's kind of like this. It's kind of a flying. It looks like a flying locust, and he's kind of colored like a stained glass window. Like it's just kind of vibrant, and the way the game looks, it's very colorful and rich for such an old platformer. Like I just remember, like Crash Bandicoot was around the same kind of time, and it just wasn't as sort of the settings weren't as rich and clear as they look in Clona. They
Yeah,
actually
Crash
done
Bandicoot
quite a
just kind
lot.
of felt like this. Yeah, you're in a Caribbean island and there's a
Yeah,
bunch of trees. This
yeah,
one, the
yeah.
background had stuff going on, and each
Hmm.
village was very different. I mean, you're in the wind village, so you've got these windmills spinning around, and it's really bright and colorful. And then you go to
Hmm.
Jugpot, and it's like you're going through these rock canyons with waterfalls, and then you go into Fourlock Village or Fourlock Forest, and you're riding through trees and across gondolas and jumping off branches. It's just everything is really starkly different, but the art style ties everything together.
Yeah, that's what's nice because, like you say, with the original Crash Bandicoot, everything felt like the same assets were being used again and again, and so you couldn't tell two levels really apart from each other. And with this variance of different stages, though it is definitely a shorter game, it feels like you get a lot of quality in there.
Yeah, it's really
And
not a long game.
no, I think I had it down for it's about 4 to 5 hours maybe.
Yeah, and
Um,
I spent a little bit longer digging around through some of the levels just because they're so intriguing and there's so many different ways to go.
yeah. Did you you sometimes you find these little bubbles with special pickups in there.
Hmm.
Did you do you know what the stopwatch did?
That's just your checkpoint.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I
Because I
didn't know
kept
what it was.
wondering
I'm like,
what.
oh, great, it's going to slow down time and enemies will be slower. Nah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
great. Um, some of the enemies were pretty tough actually. Like there was like one of them that has a shield, and you have to kind of jump and get behind him
Yep.
to then eat him or pick him up rather. But then to sometimes you were given a very short platform to do that on, and he would either push you off the screen entirely, um, or you just be because you couldn't. It was really strange to play a platformer where normally you feel it's natural to jump on an enemy to kill them,
Yes.
and so I find myself I still kept doing that even when I'd got 3 stages in. I just kind of kept forgetting that all I could do was pick them up, which is really interesting. It kind of flips your whole what comes natural to you in games like Mario and
And it's
Crash Bandicoot.
simplistic enough in its design, though, that it
Yeah,
still is entertaining.
yeah,
Because I don't
definitely.
like it when some of these platformers, they give you too much. Like, I just want to be able to do one thing.
Yeah,
And then
yeah,
let the enemy make the difference. Like Kirby gets overwhelming because almost every enemy that you eat has a different skill associated to it.
hmm
Now, granted, they're
yeah,
not all good. This one is either eat it or jump over it.
yeah, yeah.
There
No,
was
I think
also
that's it.
back to the power ups for a second. There was one that would turn all of the gems like a flashing
Mm.
color, and I think that doubled the value of the gems.
Yeah, all I remember was there was a box in the corner that said it just had a picture of the multicolored gem or whatever it was, just said times 2. So
Yeah,
I just took it for that, meaning that yeah, everything was doubled.
yeah.
And like you say, I think it was just 100 gems extra life. Did you use any save states at all, or are you just kind of saving with their own
I
the
just kind of
built-in?
saved in between. It wasn't that difficult of a game.
No, I found that I did use a save state a couple of times because did you ever lose all of your lives fighting a boss?
No.
Oh, because if you did, you had to go all the way back to the first stage, like the first,
Wow. Like
like the.
Vision 2-2, instead of going to back to the beginning of that, you go to the beginning of 2-1.
Oh no, I just mean so you'd finish 2-2, get to the boss, and if you lost all your lives, you would go back to the beginning of 2-2,
Oh, instead
which
of
is
the
kind of
checkpoint.
yeah, which was
I guess
kind of
that makes
annoying.
sense.
It makes sense, but I think just because of trying to get as much of the game done as possible, I kind of ended up making a couple of save states when I got to bosses.
I use save states when we play games too, just because of time constraints. I mean, we try to pound through a game in a
Yeah,
week. So,
yeah,
but when we start doing games that we're playing through on like PlayStation 3 with or Vita with Resident Evil, it's like, ugh,
it's really tough.
it is. It's tough to get through a game in a week. You don't realize how quick a week goes by. Like you don't play for 2 days, you're like, crap,
I
I'm
know.
really far behind.
I have a couple of long days at work, Monday, Tuesday, and then Wednesday comes around. I'm like, okay, shit, I need to start this game now. So I might start it midweek, and then something might come up at the weekend on a Saturday, and that might eat into that time. So it is challenging.
I've made a habit
So
of at least starting the game the Sunday.
starting on Sunday is good. So I mean, that's
Yeah.
what I'll probably be doing this evening is making a start.
So Klonoa, I was reading reviews of it. It was critically acclaimed as one of the best platformers of the time.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
Incredible.
across the board, like mid nines to eights average.
Yeah, it's quite impressive. It's what I always do when somebody suggests a game that I've never heard of. I kind of tend to go to Wikipedia and check out the reception
Yep.
and just see generally, take each one with a pinch of salt. But when you get a kind of average, I mean, yeah, we're looking at 80 to 90% into overall.
Yeah.
So,
Well,
and I'm not
EGM at its
surprised.
time, EGM was huge back then. Gave it its EGM Gold Award.
And they didn't dish those out willy nilly, did they?
No.
Really? So that's pretty neat. Um, yeah, it's worthy of it because they did a sequel as well.
Well, the one that came out on the Wii was just a remake.
Yeah, I kept seeing that it was on the Wii, and I didn't really understand what that meant. Is it a complete direct port, or is it they've
I
redone the assets and
I
everything?
believe it's it's a remake of it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, it's a full-on remake. Nice.
I believe. I haven't looked into it too much. Let's see.
I would be interested in that because what they have here at its core is really good. If they built on that and they remade it to look like a more recent game, I'd be down with that.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. I'd be
uh,
curious to see what I want to look at some visuals of it and see what they did differently.
yeah, I watched a few videos and read a couple of the comments from people, and they were saying, of all these, of all the intellectual properties that have kind of died, everyone wants Klonoa to come back. It seems a lot of people saying that this reminded them of their childhood and they wanted to see more.
Here, check this link out.
Um,
This is pretty interesting. It looks like it's a direct remake, not just a port, an actual remake with new graphics, kind of like what they did for New and Tasty.
oh,
It
nice.
looks really good.
That looks really, really good.
I could probably get behind that.
Definitely. It looks like they've really kept the magic of it there as well. It's not been too messed around with.
Yeah,
Just looks much prettier.
it looks like a Nintendo game.
Yeah, it does actually.
Yeah. I really,
Um,
really was pleased with this game. I didn't finish it. I really wish I would have, but if you're looking
yeah,
for
me
a
too.
good romp through a great platformer, highly
hmm
recommend this.
Me too. I'm really glad we played it. I'd be up for playing the second one sometime because apparently that was well received as well.
Was it?
Might be a little bit harder to find, um, just because it's PS2,
Sure.
but okay, but it's really early, PS2. It's like 2001.
Oh, wow.
So I just these some of these games they just kind of really, for me, from my experience, very under the radar.
Definitely. And that's why I looked at this game. I said I'd seen it before, and I was just kind of cycling through PlayStation games like what haven't we touched on? Obviously it's good to hit the big ones, but I want to start
Mm,
bringing awareness to like some of the games that people might not know anything about. And I knew nothing about this game.
yeah, I think that's good because I haven't finished my list of recommendations for this year because I'm sort of trying to think on a similar wavelength with okay, there are the huge titles that are kind of they fit within the top 50 games you should play before you die, but I would like to kind of give some exposure to your cloners. Um,
I agree.
I think Psychonauts is another one of those that you brought up that it falls into that category as well.
Everybody had heard of it,
Yeah,
but I don't think many people had actually played it. And that was
no.
pre Psychonauts being available on PS4.
Oh yeah, it's a PS2 classic now on PS4, isn't it?
Yes. And it's cheap. It's $10. If you can't flip $10 for one of the best platforming games of all time,
It's really good.
yeah,
Still speak fondly of that game.
love it.
Do I smell bacon?
Mmm, I smell bacon. But next week, oh man, diving back into survival horror.
Straight back in there.
Wow. Talk about
Yeah.
wasting no time.
No, I couldn't. I couldn't. I enjoyed um, Resident Evil 2 so much when we were playing it that I thought we've got to play the third one because that's my favorite.
I don't believe that one's as long.
I would say it's about an hour less. It's yeah, and if you play it on easy, maybe it's
Oh man, Dan. Oh, oh wait. No. This one's 6.5 hours.
what's number two?
Let's look.
I thought that was about 7 or 8.
Maybe
Oh, I don't know.
5.5. So it's an hour
Oh,
longer. But it's
oh,
so much better. I love
I'm
2.
good.
Don't get me wrong. 2 is great. But
Ah,
3 is the pinnacle.
interesting. I never realized you liked three more.
I love 3.
It's brilliant. It's so much scarier.
Yeah.
Um, just because of being stalked by something so terrifying.
Stars. And they
Did
don't
you like?
overdo it.
No, he makes probably I want to say like 6 or 7 appearances in the game.
But they make you think it's going to be more.
Yeah,
Oh, it's so good. I'm really excited for this.
can't wait. I'm gonna play it on the Vita, I think.
I am too, just
Again.
because it gives me more versatility. If I play it on PS3, then it kind of locks me into like I have to wait for the
Mm,
kids to be in bed, and
yeah,
yeah, not
totally.
good, not good.
Yeah.
But that is next week. Tom, we have one email.
Oh, let's hear it.
We have an email from Santos Lopez. If you want to send us an email, factorysealed@manatank.com, or send us your questions on facebook.com/group/factorysealed podcast.
What up?
Santos writes in, "Hey guys, my daughter Sarah, who just started listening, had a game request. She wants you to play .hack Infection Part 1 for PS2. Eric, try not to take a big pile of goof troop all over one of her favorite games." Believe it or not, .hack games have been on my list of things I need to play.
Wow, that looks really cool.
There are a ton of .hack games.
So, which one did
Infection Part 1.
part one? Um, God, I'm lost. This series is very big. I can barely find part zero. If there's
This
such a
game is
thing.
18 hours, though.
It's a, it's a, that's
So
not a 1 weeker.
no, here's what I think we have to do for Sarah though. I think we have to put this on the list eventually as like a special.
Okay, I think that's fair.
We couldn't even do this in a 2-weeker.
No, not 18 hours.
No, this would have to be something like we break it into a few different shows, just kind of sprinkled throughout. I've heard fantastic things about this series though.
I've not heard a great deal about it, but I just know of it from over the years. I've just heard little smatterings of it, but I just know it's an action role play
Well, it's a
style game.
serial RPG from what I understand.
Hmm.
And it creates this. I'm probably not doing the explanation or the game any justice with this explanation, but it takes place in an online environment.
Oh, okay.
I think it has to do with. I'm not even going to try because I don't know. I'm just going based off of my understanding of the game, and I don't know it well enough. I just know that I have friends who've played it and love it.
Interesting. It says a serial RPG that simulates an RPG experience, an online RPG experience. It follows the story of a young player named Kite as he traverses the online environment known as the World
Huh.
in an effort to uncover the secret of his best friend's game-induced coma. That's really interesting.
Yeah. It sounds really cool.
It sounds very Japanese.
I wonder if that's on the PSN store for PS3. We'll have to check that out.
Yeah, we'll have a look.
Good suggestion. Let's add that to our list of eventuals.
Yalls.
Y'all.
I shall get around to it.
Add it to the backlog.
The ever-growing backlog.
So next week, Tom, you're going to be with us next week, right?
I'll be with you.
Yay.
I'll be holding your hand for.
Did
Resident Evil.
you ever play any of Mario RPG, or did you always know you weren't going to be a part of that and just say nah?
I actually did put a couple of hours in, which was kind of annoying once I knew that I wasn't going to make it.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it though. How did you guys find it?
I've always played it.
Oh, okay. You already knew. You were
Oh,
already,
yeah.
Oh, okay, fair. It was cool. It was decent.
Yeah, we did a pretty deep cover on it, so
Yeah, we did 2 whole episodes on it. So that's...
and maybe even 2 whole episodes. So coming up, we have Resident Evil 3 next week, followed by Fable the week after.
God.
Then
Fable.
Metal Gear Solid Portable Ops. I'm probably going to kick you for choosing this one.
Are you serious?
Have you played it?
Only the first 10 minutes.
It's about all you really need to discover it's not very good.
It's because I remember it not being very good, unfortunately. But I thought maybe we could try and put a couple of hours in each and see, and maybe take a dump on it.
God almighty, no. I mean, there's...
Come on, I picked Driver. It can't be as bad as that.
It's something.
It's something.
It's just the controls are so bad.
Yeah, they are really bad.
Yeah.
If I might, do you know what I'll do for you? Right, I've got it on my PSP. I will play the first half hour. If it is really bad, as I remember it being, I'll change. I'll change
That
it.
sounds like a solid deal.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
But for now, we are playing Resident Evil 3 Nemesis next week,
Oh, thank goodness.
which does
So-
have good controls.
Fantastic controls.
Dem tank controls.
Love me some tanking. So,
Sorry, Dan. Sorry, Dan.
I mean, he didn't beat Resident Evil 2, but he got damn close.
Me too. I also got very close.
I don't remember the ending of this one being as difficult.
I don't think I actually finished it, the third one,
Ooh.
even though it's my favorite, that just shows how good it is.
Yeah.
Ooh,
Well,
how
we'll
bad
be
I am.
back next week with that. Tom, do you have any final thoughts before we put a wrap on it this week?
Buy a Vita.
Definitely. And buy Nio.
Oh yeah,
If you see it, buy it.
buy Nio.
It's great. Guys, that's going to do it for this week. Tom, thanks for joining me.
Oh,
Thanks for
having
being
me.
part of the show.
Oh yeah, always appreciated.
We've missed you.
Miss you too, buddy.
Oh. We've got a new room in our house with your name written all over it.
Yes, Phoenix, here we come.
All right, Tom, that's going to do it for this week. Folks, we will see you all next week.
Bye bye.
Bye.
Bye bye.